Estefanía Gutiérrez Lázaro was born in Madrid in 1973 and lived with her parents Máximo Gutiérrez and Concepción Lázaro in the working-class neighborhood of Vallecas. She had several siblings. Her family lived in an apartment located at Calle Luis Marin 8. Estefanía was enrolled at the Instituto Argüelles, a secondary school in the district. She was a normal student with no known health problems in her early life. In 1990, when Estefanía was 16 years old, she became interested in spiritualism. This interest reportedly developed in part because of friends at school. One classmate had recently lost a boyfriend in a motorcycle accident. Estefanía and her friends decided to try contacting the deceased boy using a Ouija board. They constructed the board themselves and conducted a seance in a bathroom at school. The exact date of this session is not officially recorded, but is understood to have taken place in the first half of 1990. During the session, the girls asked questions to the board using a glass as a planchette. In the middle of the session, a teacher reportedly walked in and broke up the meeting. According to later accounts given by the parents and investigators, the teacher may have broken the board in half. What exactly happened during that seance remains unclear. After the session, Estefanía told her parents that something strange had happened during the contact. She reportedly said that smoke had entered her nostrils from the board when it broke and that she had felt a presence around her. Shortly after this incident, Estefanía began to experience health issues. Her parents reported that she started suffering seizures, hallucinations, and periods of dissociation. During these episodes, she would reportedly enter a trance-like state, convulse, and speak in voices that were not her own. She sometimes exhibited unprovoked aggression and later said she had no memory of those moments. These episodes began to increase in frequency over time. Her parents took her to multiple doctors and specialists. Neurological tests, including EEGs, were conducted. According to medical records and the family's testimony, no definitive diagnosis was reached. The doctors did not find epilepsy or any other neurological disorder. Psychological evaluations did not produce a conclusive explanation either. Some doctors reportedly suggested she might be experiencing stress or a dissociative condition, but no diagnosis was formally made. As months passed, the strange episodes continued. Estefanía described seeing shadowy figures in her room and around the apartment. She claimed that they approached her while she was trying to sleep and whispered her name. She described them as tall, humanoid silhouettes without distinct facial features. Sometimes they stood still at the foot of her bed. She also reported hearing voices in otherwise empty rooms and feeling as if she was being watched. According to her parents, Concepción and Máximo, they too began to notice changes in her behavior. She became increasingly withdrawn and irritable. She spoke often about the shadows and the voices. Her sleep patterns became irregular and her appetite changed. The parents continued to seek medical advice but were told, again, that there was no physical explanation. In early 1991, nearly a year after the Ouija board incident, Estefanía's health declined further. The seizures became more violent. Her parents noted that she would sometimes go rigid, foam at the mouth, and scream unintelligible words. The hallucinations persisted. She began speaking about people who came to visit her at night. Her parents said she once claimed that the figures floated toward her and called her by name. During the summer of 1991, one episode proved especially serious. Estefanía collapsed at home, struggled to breathe, and lost consciousness. She was rushed to the Hospital Gregorio Marañón in Madrid. Medical staff attempted resuscitation, but Estefanía died a few hours later on the 14th of August, 1991. She was 17 years old. The official autopsy was unable to determine a clear cause of death. The report noted signs of pulmonary edema, a buildup of fluid in the lungs, and asphyxiation, but no underlying disease, infection, or neurological condition. Toxicology reports were negative for drugs or poisons. Doctors were unable to explain why a previously healthy young woman had died so suddenly. Her death certificate listed it as sudden, and suspicious, but with no defined pathology. After Estefania's death, her family reported a series of increasingly strange events occurring inside their apartment. The parents and several of the younger children began to experience phenomena they could not explain. These events reportedly began a few weeks after Estefania's funeral. The family described hearing loud banging sounds coming from empty rooms. They heard whispering voices, sometimes calling the names of family members. Doors opened and closed without explanation. Lights flickered or turned off by themselves. Appliances malfunctioned or turned on even when unplugged. Religious objects, including crucifixes and images of saints, were found inverted or broken. A photograph of Estefania, displayed in the living room, reportedly burst into flames with no apparent ignition source. The parents also described cold spots in rooms, despite no issues with heating. They claimed that shadowy figures similar to those described by Estefania began to appear to other members of the household, especially at night. The figures were described as black, human-like silhouettes. One of the younger siblings reportedly said he saw one figure glide down the hallway and into Estefania's old room. One night, a glass cabinet door in the hallway reportedly shattered on its own. Maximo Gutierrez examined the broken door and found no signs of impact or structural weakness. He claimed the family had just walked past it moments earlier without touching it. On another occasion, a thick brown substance was found oozing from the edge of a table in the living room. The family claimed it had no smell and no identifiable source. The events persisted for more than a year. The family grew increasingly disturbed. They contacted a local priest for spiritual guidance. The priest reportedly visited the apartment and blessed the home with holy water. For a few days, the disturbances stopped, but within a week, they resumed. According to the family, the events grew worse. On the night of the 27th of November, 1992, the family called the Spanish National Police. The events that night were, according to the Gutierrez family, louder and more aggressive than before. Doors slammed repeatedly. Loud banging sounds echoed from Estefania's old bedroom. One of the younger children reportedly had a panic attack. In desperation, the parents called emergency services. A police patrol arrived at the apartment. Among the officers was Inspector Jose Pedro Negri, who would later file a formal report. 3 other officers were present as well. The time of arrival was around 2:40 a.m. They found the family waiting outside the apartment in a state of panic. The police were let inside and began inspecting the apartment. According to the official police report, the officers witnessed a series of events they could not explain. They described the following incidents. A heavy wooden wardrobe door in the hallway opened suddenly and violently, despite no one being near it. A crucifix on the wall in one of the bedrooms had been scratched and inverted, though it had been upright earlier in the evening. A small wooden table in the living room made a loud banging noise without being touched. A photograph of Estefania, which had been in a frame, was found partially burned. The fire had affected only her face. A cold spot was detected in the hallway that could not be explained by drafts or windows. A brown, sticky substance was found on a table surface without an identifiable source. The officers checked for signs of wires, mechanisms, or tampering. They examined windows, doors, and hinges. No irregularities were found. They also looked for structural damage or plumbing leaks, but reported none. The building itself showed no electrical faults that could explain the events. The report concluded with the statement that the phenomena witnessed by the police that night were of an extraordinary nature and could not be explained. This document was signed by Inspector Negri and became part of the official police archive. It is still referenced today in discussions of unexplained phenomena in Spain. The police did not open a criminal investigation as no crime had been committed. After the officers left that night, the family remained in the apartment for a few more weeks. The disturbances reportedly continued. Eventually, the Gutierrez family moved to a different residence. After they left the apartment, they said the phenomena stopped entirely. After the night of the 27th of November, 1992, when the police had visited the apartment at Calle Luis Marin, 8, and documented the events they witnessed, the disturbances reportedly continued within the Gutierrez Lázaro family home. In the days following the police visit, the family reported that similar events occurred during both the day and night. These included the movement of furniture, objects falling without explanation, and temperature changes in specific areas of the home. According to the family's account, they also heard continued knocking and banging sounds coming from walls and ceilings, particularly in the hallway and in Estefanía A's old bedroom. Maximo and Concepcion claimed that during this time, new phenomena began to appear. Concepcion reported that she sometimes felt invisible hands brushing past her or touching her shoulders. On one occasion, she said she was pushed forcefully against a wall by an unseen force. The children in the house complained of nightmares and a persistent sensation of being watched. The youngest daughter said she saw a shadow emerge from a wardrobe and cross the room without making a sound. Religious images and objects, which the family had placed throughout the home, were sometimes discovered in different positions than before. A small statue of the Virgin Mary that was placed on a shelf was found lying face down in a hallway. Crucifixes that had been affixed to the walls with nails were found turned upside down or partially detached. A glass of water on a kitchen counter was said to have shattered while untouched, and shards were later discovered embedded in nearby furniture. Several times during the following weeks, the family reported hearing what sounded like heavy breathing or growling coming from the hallway, particularly near Estefanía A's bedroom. The family had kept the door to her room closed after her death, but noises were frequently heard coming from inside. These included knocking, movement, and the sound of drawers opening. According to Concepcion, on one occasion she opened the door and found a framed picture of Estefanía face down on the floor, although it had been on a shelf previously. Concepcion also described an event where she woke up in the middle of the night and found herself unable to move, as though something was holding her down. She said she saw the shape of a tall, black figure standing in the doorway. She was able to move again after several minutes, at which point the figure vanished. Maximo reported a separate incident in which he felt a sudden drop in temperature in the living room, followed by the sound of footsteps moving behind him, although no one was present. One afternoon, the family said that a door inside the apartment slammed with such force that it cracked the frame. The impact was strong enough that neighbors on the same floor came out to ask if there had been a domestic disturbance. The family insisted no one had touched the door at the time. By early 1993, the parents said that the events had become routine. Although none of the phenomena injured any member of the family, the emotional and psychological effects were evident. The children were reported to be suffering from sleep problems, constant anxiety, and fear of being alone in rooms. Concepcion stated that on multiple occasions, she would wake up to find drawers open or furniture slightly moved. They continued to bring in religious figures to bless the apartment. In one instance, they invited a local clergyman to conduct a full blessing in each room of the apartment. He moved from room to room with holy water and prayer. The family stated that during this ceremony, the sounds within the house intensified with loud bangs heard from the hallway and what sounded like whispering coming from the bathroom. The clergyman reportedly advised the family to leave the house for a period of time, if possible. In the weeks following that event, disturbances continued. Maximo reported one specific incident in which he was seated in the kitchen and observed a cupboard door swing open slowly, then shut with force. He got up to investigate and found nothing inside out of place. The family reported that all the disturbances occurred without any identifiable pattern in time or location. Estefanía A's bedroom continued to be a focal point. The family kept the door shut, but noises from within were frequently heard. Items in the room, including clothing, books, and toys, were found moved or displaced when they checked inside. The room's window was reportedly found open on 2 occasions, even though it had been locked. Throughout early to mid-1000, 993, the family continued to document these events in a personal log. They did not use cameras or audio recorders, but noted dates, times, and descriptions of each unusual occurrence. Their notes detailed dozens of incidents involving noises, moving objects, shadowy figures, and physical sensations. They avoided inviting outsiders or journalists during this period. In the summer of 1993, Maximo began making preparations to relocate the family. They found a new apartment in another part of Vallecas. By the end of that summer, the family moved out of Calle Luis Marin 8. After relocating, the family reported that the strange phenomena completely ceased. They stated that in the new apartment, no unusual activity occurred. The children's sleep returned to normal, no banging voices or moving objects were reported. Estefania's memory remained with them, and they kept her personal items in sealed boxes. They did not reopen any contact attempts with the spiritual or paranormal. After the family moved out of the apartment on Calle Luis Marin in the latter half of 1993, the disturbances reportedly ended entirely. The Gutiérrez Lázaro family said they experienced no further unexplained phenomena in their new residence. According to their own accounts, from the moment they left the former apartment, all activity stopped. The original apartment at Calle Luis Marin 8 remained vacant for a short period before eventually being occupied by another tenant. There are no publicly documented reports of disturbances from subsequent residents. During this period, the Gutiérrez family kept a low profile. They did not pursue additional spiritual consultations, nor did they engage in further seances or spiritual communication attempts. The family maintained that they had no further unexplained experiences from that point onward. The police report filed by Inspector Jose Pedro Negri and his colleagues on the night of the 27th of November, 1992, remained in the official records. It was cataloged as a standard service incident with anomalous circumstances. The document listed the officers present and their signed observations, including the inexplicable opening of a cabinet door, a scorched photograph, and unidentifiable noises. Following their relocation, no further police involvement occurred. The family did not file any legal complaints or reports after leaving the apartment, and no further interventions were requested. From the time of Estefania's death on the 14th of August, 1991, to the family's final departure from the apartment in mid to late 1993, the sequence of events described by the family remained confined to their private experience and the one documented police intervention. There were no additional deaths, medical emergencies, or documented physical injuries associated with the events in the apartment. No members of the family were hospitalized or treated for injuries directly related to the disturbances after Estefania's death. The apartment building on Calle Luis Marin continued to be occupied by residents in other units. There are no verified public records of structural complaints, electrical faults, or safety issues in the building during the early 1990s. No other tenants reported similar activity, at least in official channels. Estefania's grave, located in the cemetery of Carabanchel, was visited periodically by her family, who maintained their account of events throughout the years. The case was never reopened, reinvestigated, or formally reviewed by medical or law enforcement authorities beyond the original police report and autopsy file. The total duration of reported activity, from the Ouija board incident at school to the cessation of phenomena following the family's move, spans roughly 3 years from mid-1990 to mid-1993. There were no subsequent attempts by the family to seek explanations through academic or parapsychological institutions. No further documented medical investigations took place after Estefania's death. No other family members experienced similar symptoms to those she had exhibited prior to her passing. This marks the final segment of the raw, verified chronological narrative of the Vallecas case, as experienced and documented by the individuals involved, including family members and law enforcement. Thank you for watching the video. Make sure to like, subscribe, and share the video for more videos like this. See you on the next one.